What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to present to you 3 recent returns that I just got back in the mail. So this one's a little bit unique because I have done some NASCAR autographing in the last couple months, and I have not posted a NASCAR or racing return for quite a while. So if you enjoy these NASCAR racing returns, definitely click down below in the description or at the end of the video, as I'll link a couple more if you enjoy these type of videos talking about racing autographs. So the first one is a return from Charlotte, North Carolina. Surprise, surprise. And it is from former, well, let me correct myself. It was from current driver, as he's still involved in racing, Joe Nemechek, on 1, 2, a third, and that's one of those ones that comes with the cars, and a fourth, Max 1991. So let me tell you about Joe Nemechek and his career in racing that is still active as of 2022. Nemechek began racing at the age of 13 in motocross and won 300 career races over his next 6 years. After winning various awards in different short track series around the country, Nemechek made his Busch Series debut at North Carolina Speedway in 1989, where he started 40th and finished 33rd after suffering an engine failure in his number 88 Buick. Nemechek moved up to the Busch Series in 1990, running the number 87 with sponsorship from Master Machine and Tool, posting 2 top 5s and finishing 17th in points, winning Rookie of the Year honors that year. So this would have been his second year, I'm assuming, not his first year. In 1994, Nemechek joined Larry Hedrick Motorsports to drive the number 41 Meineke discount mufflers, sponsored Chevy. Midway through the 1999 season, he announced he would not return to the team. He won 2 more poles at Martinsville and Talladega at the Super Speedway, finished 30th in points that year. For 2000, Nemechek signed to drive with the number 33 Oakwood Homes-sponsored Chevrolet from Andrew Petrie Racing. Petrie's team began to run into financial troubles, and Nemechek's team was left without a sponsor. In 2003, Nemechek started in second spot, led the most laps, and won the Pontiac Excitement 400. For the 2004 season, Nemechek returned to MB2 Motorsports, taking over the number 1 U.S. Army-sponsored car. He was then replacing Jerry Nadeau as the driver, although this time it was due to Nadeau suffering his severe injury that he would eventually end his racing career. And if you recall, I did profile that in a previous video, and you can check that out below. In 2005, Nemechek won a pole at Michigan. That season was highlighted by a feud with Kevin Harvick that year. MB2 was rebranded as Gin Racing following Bobby Gin's purchase of the team in 2006. He moved to Gin's number 13 with the certainteed sponsorship from veteran Mark Martin and rookie Reagan Smith were tapped to share the number 1 car. He signed with E&M Motorsports, and although he failed to the first attempt to qualify at Indy, he made his way into the field for the Michigan race weekend, driving the number 8 Fans on Board sponsored Dodge. He spent the rest of the season driving the Furniture Row racing car. Nemechek raced in 30 Cup Series races during the 2009 season despite very little funding for him. Nemechek brought his number 87 cars back for 2011 to once again run both major NASCAR series. Nemechek successfully qualified for the Daytona 500 for the second year in a row. Nemechek's team became Identity Ventures Racing in 2014, and he drove several races in the number 66 car. From 2015 to 2018, Nemechek's team announced that for the 2015 NASCAR Camping World Truck Series season, he would be returning to Chevrolet after a 3-year tenure with Toyota. Nemechek would continue to race in various truck series, and he would make appearances, still does to this day actually, makes various appearances. He was in the Bojangles Southern 500, Monster Energy Cup Series. In 2020, Nemechek returned to Mike Harmon Racing in the Xfinity Series, driving their renumbered number 47 for the season opener at Daytona. As of 2022, he was in the Xfinity Series driving number 24 for Sam Hunt Racing, partner with his son, John Hunter, at the Wawa 250. However, he failed to qualify, and the race was canceled anyway after rain. So, holy wow, this guy has such a career in racing, you know, from the truck series to, you know, the NASCAR to the, you know, wherever you want to start, you know, even back when he was 13 years old. And it's quite the career and the accomplishments to have a lifetime in racing like this individual had. And if you get a chance to pull up his, you know, professional racing stats, I mean, they start in 1993 and go to current. You know, there's just so many races that this man has appeared in. And, you know, overall throughout his career, I can't even add them up, to be honest with you, during this video, because there's just so many to list. Let's see, we'll start at the top here. In the NASCAR Cup Series, he's been in 674 races over 24 years, 4 wins to his credit. In the NASCAR Xfinity Series, he's done 453 races over 29 years, with 16 wins to his credit. In the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, he's had over 70 races in 9 years, and it's just amazing the career that this guy's had. So I'm going to move on to the next individual, and we'll go from there. All right, so this next one, shockingly enough, is not postmarked from North Carolina. It's actually from St. Louis, Missouri, which is the hometown of this individual, Kenny Schrader, on 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's a sideways card. So I got 2 more McDonald's cards and another press pass card for my collection, as I'm kind of unofficially collecting these sets. So let me tell you about Ken Schrader and his career in racing. So again, this is one of those individuals that is actually still racing to this day, not at the highest level, but he's still, you can find this guy on a racetrack somewhere in even 2022. So Schrader was born in Fenton, Missouri in 1971. He was the sportsman's champ at Lake Hill Speedway in Valley Park. That same year, he moved up to sprint cars, racing in various locations across the Midwest. In 1980, he started racing in USAC's stock car division and the series Rookie of the Year that year. Schrader attempted to qualify for the '83 Indianapolis 500, but wrecked his car during practice. Schrader made his NASCAR debut in 1984, the following year, in the Cup Series, leasing out the number 64 Ford, normally driven by Elmo Langley. He ran his first race at Nashville, qualifying 27th and finishing 19th in a 30-car field. In 1985, he signed to drive the number 90 Ultra Seal sponsored Ford for Junie Donlevy full-time. He had 3 10th place finishes and finished 16th in points, winning the Rookie of the Year honors that year. In 1986, Red Baron Frozen Pizzas became the team's new primary sponsor, and Schrader had 4 top 10s, including the best finish of 7th twice, and finished 16th in the standings that year. In 1987, Schrader won his first career pole at Trans-South 500, where he led 19 laps and finished 5th. First top 5. He had 9 other top 10s and finished 10th in the final standings that year. He also made his Busch Series debut at North Carolina Speedway that year in the Red Baron vehicle. From 1988 to next, he drove for Hendrick Motorsports, driving the Folgers vehicle, Chevrolet. In 1990, Kodak became Schrader's sponsor. Although he failed to win, he collected 3 poles and 7 top 5s, dropping to 10th in points that year. In 1991, he got his 3rd win at the Motorcraft Quality Parts 500 and his final Winston Cup win at Dover International Speedway that year. In 92, he dropped to 17th in the standings after posting 11 top 10s. The following season, Schrader returned 9th in points and won a career-high 6 poles. He had his career-best points finish in 94, where he finished 4th. He also won his most recent Busch race at Talladega. In 1995, Budweiser became Schrader's primary sponsor. In 1996, after the 96 season, Schrader left Hendrick Motorsports after a 9-year association with the team. From 1997 to 2005, Schrader was hired to drive the number 33 Skoal Bandit sponsored Chevy Monte Carlo by Andrew Petrie. Later, he would sign to drive the M&M sponsored Pontiac Grand Prix for MB2 Motorsports. So these, both Joe and Ken drove for the same teams, it looks like. In 2006, he drove Little Debbie Motorcraft United States Air Force sponsored Fords. From 2008 to 2013, he returned to BAM Racing. In 2011, Schrader ran as a part-time Cup schedule for FAS Lane Racing. On May 21st, 2013, he became the oldest ARCA race winner. On October 27, 2013, Schrader announced he would retire from NASCAR after the 2013 season. Despite his retirement, he decided to race in the truck race in Eldora in 2014. On 2017, he entered the Little 500 sprint car race held at Anderson Speedway in Anderson, Indiana. So he still is racing part-time, I guess would be the best way to put it. He is not racing in full-blown NASCAR races anymore. However, he's still making appearances here and there and a little bit everywhere on dirt tracks and that type of thing, racing in the ARCA Menard Series, the fast track racing, and etc. Superstar Racing Experience, on down the list. So just to kind of give you some career highlights, I mentioned he was Rookie of the Year. He has had 763 races over his NASCAR Cup Series over 29 years with 4 wins. His NASCAR Xfinity Series ranged over 17 years and 116 races with 2 wins. His World Truck Series was over an 18-year career with 105 races. He's just, like I said, still around the sport to this day, being a great ambassador for the sport. And I'm very happy to add his autograph to my collection. Definitely check out his stats below, along with the next guy I'm going to introduce. Alright, so this one is truly a retired driver, and I could have swore that I had done a video on him in the past. I had actually written this individual before because I got him on my McDonald's cards before, because I checked before I did the video, and that is former retired driver Harry Gant on 1, 2, and there is his car card, Racing Champions card, and here is him, a nice black and white photo of him driving his car. So let me tell you about Harry Gant and his Hall of Fame career in racing. Harry Gant goes by some pretty cool nicknames. We'll go Harry Gant the Bandit, High Groove Harry, Hard Luck Harry, Mr. September, and Handsome Harry. He is best known for driving the number 33 Skoal Bandit car in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series during the 1980s and 90s. Also having a 4-race win streak in 1991, which I think is probably, highlighted on that card right there, actually. He is considered he's in NASCAR's 50 greatest drivers. He's in multiple Hall of Fames, International Motorsports Hall of Fame, National Motorsports Hall of Fame, Press Association Hall of Fame inductee, on down the list. He, won the 1991 Winston 500. He has appeared in over 474 total races in his NASCAR Cup Series over a 22-year career with 18 wins. His last win came in 1992 with his first win in 1982, so a 10-year period there. NASCAR Xfinity Series, he's been in 128 races with 21 wins. His NASCAR Camping Truck World Series, he appeared in 11 races with no names. This is just one of those lifetime NASCAR drivers. So we're going to talk about his early going-ons, before the Winston Cup, and then we're going to touch on his streak a little bit here as well. The North Carolina native began his racing career on an old dirt track in Hickory, North Carolina. He built a hobby class car with his friends and took turns behind the wheel. Gant became the full-time driver and won the track championship at Hickory Speedway. Was paved in 1967 after Ned Jarrett became the promoter. Gant excelled on the asphalt and won his first race in the sportsman's division. He won over 300 races with the car builder and crew chief Ken Sigmund in the NASCAR Sportsman on his way to winning 3 national championships in 72, 73, and 74. He finished second 3 times in the NASCAR Late Model Sportsman's Division in 1969, 76, and 77. Gant made his first Cup start in 1973 at Charlotte Motor Speedway, finished 11th in the number 90 Ford for Don Levy Racing. He would continue to race throughout the 1970s, and after starting out in the 1981 season driving for various teams, moved to the number 33 Skoal Bandit Pontiac. Gant finished second 10 times before winning his first Winston Cup race at Martinsville April 25, 1982 in the Virginia National Bank 500. Harry Gant entered the decade with a win at Pocono in the spring of 1990. He would finish 17th in the final point standings with 6 top 5s, 9 top 10s. In 1991, Gant would have a career year. He won the 1991 Winston 500 in the spring, gambling on fuel mileage. Fellow competitor Rick Mass drafted behind Gant to give him the push the last few laps, but left off in the final laps to preserve the victory. Gant earned the nickname Mr. September in 1991 after winning all 4 September Cup races, Darlington, Richmond, Dover, and Martinsville, and 2 Busch races at Richmond, Dover at the age of 51. The 4 consecutive Cup victories tied the modern era record set in 1972. Dominating at the next race, it almost would have been a 5th victory, except his brakes failed, ending his hopes for having that 5th consecutive victory at the following race at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Gant would get a total of 5 victories in 1991, also notching 15 top 5 finishes and 17 top 10s, and finishing 4th in the final point standings. Gant would follow up in 1991 with a strong 1992 and finish 4th in the points again. He would race again in 1993, and in 1994 he would announce that that would be his last season. Gant finished his career with a pole and 7 top 10 finishes, finishing 25th in the final point standings. Despite his retirement in 1996, Gant did substitute for an injured Bill Elliott in the 1996 Winston Select driving Elliott's number 94 McDonald's Ford Thunderbird after Elliott's injuries at Talladega previously. Gant also ran a partial season in the Craftsman's Truck Series in 1996, driving his own number 93. He was inducted into the International Motorsports Hall of Fame on April 27, 2006. Currently, Gant is retired and continues to work on his 300-acre ranch in North Carolina and enjoys riding his motorcycle. In 2015, he was in attendance at Darlington for the Southern 500 to take part in the Retro Weekend. So, Mr. Gant is quietly enjoying his retirement in North Carolina on his ranch. I want to thank Mr. Gant for signing my cards. I also want to thank the other 2 that signed for me, Mr. Schrader on... Oh, that's Joe. I'm sorry, Joe Nemechek on his cards as well. You know, like I said, you know, always nice to add a couple more press pass autographs to the collection. I also want to thank Mr. Schrader for signing my McDonald's cards, as I needed those for both of my sets. I'm not sure if I think I needed them for that set as well, the press pass set. So I want to thank you for taking the time to join me for a different Through the Mail Thursday video featuring NASCAR drivers. All 3 of these guys are legends in their own generation, I guess you would say. You know, obviously Mr. Gant being the oldest, you know, with Joe and Ken still being involved in racing to this day in 2022. So thank you for your time, taking your time to watch, and as always, happy collecting.